It started with the sound of glass breaking. Not loud, controlled. A flute stem slipping from someone's hand and kissing the floor. But the silence that followed, that was louder. Her laughter carried through it, bright, dazzling. The kind of laugh people leaned toward like firelight. My wife, Maya, stood under the glow of the chandeliers, sequins glinting like razors across her dress. I paid for every flicker of that light, every bottle opened, every meaningless smile. And then she raised her glass, eyes glimmering too long in one direction, at him. "Tonight," she said, voice shaking with a joy I hadn't seen in months, "I want to thank someone special. For being there, for understanding me." Her gaze landed on the man standing near the cake. Colin, her friend from work. People clapped. I didn't. She reached behind her, lifted a small box, and smiled directly at me. "And for my husband," she said, the tone suddenly playful, "I got you something too." The room waited. Inside the box, folded, pristine, was a t-shirt. Black. Minimalist. Branded. Across the chest, "Divorced." Laughter broke like glass this time. I smiled, because I had to, because no one understood yet what was about to happen. It had started 3 weeks before. A subtle shift in her voice when she said his name. A small pause, just long enough for me to hear it. Colin. He'd been around for a while. Project manager. Always too polite. Always first to offer help when she complained about how emotionally unavailable I'd been. That phrase, her new favorite. She'd learned it from somewhere. Probably him. I remember the night she came home late. Hair slightly undone, perfume fading into something unfamiliar. She said they'd stayed after hours, finalizing a pitch. She couldn't meet my eyes. I didn't press. Instead, I began counting the little inconsistencies. Phone face down. Laughter in another room. Her sudden obsession with privacy. And that perfume. Always the same now. His brand. Probably a gift. Still, I played the role. The husband. Supportive. Silent. I paid for her party. Booked the venue. Handled every detail she didn't have time for. Because by then, I needed to see it. The truth. Out in the open. She thought I was blind. I was only waiting for the curtain to fall. I began collecting, quietly. A fingerprint of hers on a glass, wiped onto a sterile swab. A stray hair from his coat after one of their work dinners. A photo of them at the bar she said she hated. It wasn't rage that guided me, it was precision, calculation. I ordered the tests through a private lab I'd used for corporate verifications. They didn't need to know the context, just the samples. While I waited, I studied them, observed patterns. The way she typed faster when texting him. The way she turned her phone away, but not too obviously, enough to make it seem innocent. At night, she slept on her side, back facing me. Sometimes she smiled in her dreams. That hurt more than anything else. The lab called on a Wednesday. I didn't answer. I let the message sit, unplayed, for 2 days. Sometimes the truth needs to ripen before you open it. I listened Friday morning, coffee going cold. The voice was clinical. Samples O1 and O2 show strong DNA correlation, 97% match. I stared at the mug in my hand. Her lipstick print on the rim, the same red she wore when she came home from work the night before. The evening of the party, I already knew. I dressed with care. Cufflinks she'd given me on our 5th anniversary. Watch, gifted by her father. Everything about me looked polished, expensive, loyal. Colin was already there when I arrived, laughing with her. His hand brushed her back once, casually, like he'd earned that right. When she caught my eye, she smiled. Guilt flickered behind it, quick, controlled, but it was there. I approached her quietly before the speeches. "You look radiant tonight," I said. She nodded. "You'll like your gift." I'm sure I will. She didn't notice how steady my voice was. When she thanked him publicly, when she handed me that t-shirt, I felt nothing. No humiliation, no shock, only confirmation. I folded the shirt neatly and set it on the table beside the cake. My smile never faltered. Then I leaned toward her ear and whispered, "Check your phone when the music stops." She blinked, confused. I walked away. I left the party through the kitchen, past the waiters, past the noise, into the quiet parking lot that smelled of champagne and gasoline. In my car, I opened the file I'd scheduled to send at exactly 8:15 p.m. It contained every test result, every photo, every timestamp. I sent it to her, her parents, and Colin. Then I turned off my phone and drove home. 5 minutes later, it started vibrating on the passenger seat. Once, twice, then endlessly. When I checked, there were 157 missed calls. The first few were from her, then her sister, then Colin, then again her. I never answered. I walked into the house, straightened a picture frame by the hallway, the one from our wedding, and removed it from the wall. Behind it was a small envelope containing her real gift, the deed, signed, transferred, to my name only. The house she thought we co-owned was never hers, not legally, not anymore. By midnight, I sat alone in the living room. Her laughter still echoed faintly in my memory, like a sound that had died but refused to decay. The lights were off. I preferred the dark. It tells the truth faster than daylight ever could. On the table lay her t-shirt, divorced. I turned it inside out. Black fabric. Blank. Just fabric again. There was no rage left, only precision. I thought of her face when she'd see the documents, the emails, the perfect symmetry of her downfall. How quickly affection curdles when the mask cracks. I poured myself a drink. Didn't toast, didn't smile. Just silence. Finally, silence. And as I stared at the empty doorway, I realized something simple, something pure. I didn't lose her tonight. I returned her to the world she came from. Cold, performative, replaceable. The glass clicked against the table, and that sound, that was the only applause I needed.